Sorry, it wasn't me. Shaggy defense.
Now all of a sudden we have nothing to say.
I know, right?
Isn't that always the case?
Oh, that'll last about 2 seconds.
Yeah, just
absolutely. Where everyone's shy.
So I'm pretty hyped about this year's Way West Hackenfest theme.
It looks like you are.
I am so hyped. I'm gonna go full Scully.
Are you a fan?
Nice.
I am. I would say so. X-Files as a child, like, absolutely terrified me, and throughout my entire childhood, I thought I was gonna get abducted by aliens. And the noise alone would like strike fear into my heart, no matter where I was in the house while my parents watched it.
Did you ever see that movie Taken?
Oh,
where
yeah.
the guy is abducted in the woods and they go through it all. That was great.
But I also grew up in like the middle of nowhere in the mountains, right? So if you were gonna get abducted from anywhere, it was gonna be there. Like,
yeah.
And I eventually got into my sci-fi realm.
Hey, John, you know anything about that?
Yeah,
being abducted in the woods.
Being abducted or living in nowhere?
I was going to say living in the middle of nowhere.
Being abducted or living in the middle of nowhere. I always think it's funny. Like, I grew up in the woods, and my friends would always come up, and they're like, "This is so scary. Are you afraid of axe murderers?" And I'm like, "No." Like,
what are the chances?
I am the axe murderer.
I am the axe murderer.
There's a lot of chances.
Welcome to the chainsaw shed.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be abducted if you're the one abducting other people. It's like you just can't, right? Like you're beating them to the punch, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You get Dextered is what would happen.
Wait, you only lost your fear. You only lost your fear after you were abducted.
You know, dude, I had so many scary dreams of getting abducted. And like one time I woke up in the middle of the night and there was someone standing in the front of my bed. And I was like, this is it. This is it. And then in my little
finally happening.
And my little sister's like, can I sleep with you? I had a bad dream. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
You're like, no. The answer is no. I also had a bad dream.
Chucky
you just gave me a bad dream.
That was Blink 182. Dun, 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 dun. So this last weekend, my son had a couple of friends that came over, and I needed to go get him. I need to go get my son. So I come downstairs, and I think he's sleeping on the couch. And I go over, and I'm like, Landon. And all of a sudden I hear, it's Zach. I'm like, okay. And I go over to the other couch, and I'm like, Landon. Michael. Shit. So I'm thinking of like Wade. Like, this is gonna be like a narrative for these boys up until they're like, in their 30s and 40s. I stayed at my friend's house, and like literally I woke up with his father standing over me in the basement. And
yeah. All right, roll the finger.
Roll the
finger. All right, here we go.
HBS programming made possible by Black Hills Information Security. Offense is red, defense is blue. Book a red team exercise soon. Show your organization how much you care this Valentine's Day by booking a red team exercise. Availability for 2023 is filling fast, so book soon at blackhillsinfosec.com/contact us. And hackers like you, thank you.
hello and welcome to Infosec Crossfire. I am your host, John Strand. Welcome to PBS. In this episode of Infosec Crossfire, we will be talking about cybercrime jobs and how much they pay. We will also be discussing discrepancies discovered in vulnerability severity ratings and whales breaching. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our cast of characters. BSD Bandit, thank you for joining.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong! Ralph May, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Oh, man. Wrong! Hey, everybody. We've got Wade, we've got Mike, we've got Ian, we've got a hacker in the hoodie in the house. We've got Corey, the GPT version, who has replaced the Corey we found out
He's not real.
We just rewired Corey through that GPT.
This is how you get VC funding. You just put
Oh,
GPT.
he's
after
literally
it.
making money right now. There's like a little trick. A ticker
My
just
salary
coming in.
doubled the second I changed my name. It's so weird.
You just automated yourself out of a job, so now you get 2 paychecks. Well
Two
done.
paychecks. Well,
Oh my! And his lights are changing color as you're speaking.
That's not how that's supposed to work.
I want to be the first person to
there's a
apply to
cat.
be a Corey prompt engineer. I'm like, Corey, make me a scam.
There you go.
Yeah,
And
don't.
then Ryan, who makes us all look good and sound good. Let's jump right into the story. Oh, Bronwyn's back again.
Sorry.
Corbin's back.
who's back?
Tell a friend. Yeah, she had to go take care of the puppy or the kitty. Or the puppy's good. He's good. In the
Well,
background.
the puppy is having fun barking at the deer. The deer are
Probably me
tormenting.
yelling at the screen.
They- Pretty much. No, the deer have figured out that the dogs don't go past the fence. So they like to walk like 5 feet outside of the fence and go, nee, 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 nee,
Yeah,
nee,
they're
nee,
literally
nee,
like-
nee, and the dogs
like,
go nuts.
Sup. Yeah. All right, let's jump right into the story. So cybercrime job ads on the dark web pay up to $20,000 per month. And, in other news, Black Hills Information Security is now hiring, I guess. I don't know.
Did we hire a recruiting firm and they just went on the dark web? Is that?
Competition is brutal. This is why they're hiring. That's why,
Yeah.
I mean,
200,000 job ads. Like, who in the hell is running Indeed for hackers on the dark web?
How many of those are like a fish? They're just waiting for a red teamer to click on it, then they get hacked, and then you get hacked, and then they pivot. That's all it is. It's a big canary.
John, you
And
bring
I
up a
get
good
emails, like-
opportunity, though. We need
It
a hiring.
is, and I get emails all the time from like headhunting firms that are like, we've got a pen tester with OSCP and like 10 years of experience, and this is what they're asking. I'm just wondering, like, is this what's going on? Is the dark web finding me on this?
Yeah, I guess they teach us that crime doesn't pay, but apparently
This
we have data that
seems
says
like
it
crime
does.
pays.
What's the
It's very
PTO
tempting
like?
sometimes.
On our Infosec Onion site that we're making that doesn't exist, we need to have an article that says why you should be hiring off the dark web.
Powered by Corey GPT.
And for all hackers, if you're watching this video right now, please hit the like button.
Yeah, please hit like and subscribe, boys and girls.
Like
But
and subscribe.
Like,
this is how we lose the cyber war. Like the other side just pays better.
They just,
Does
yeah,
it
they
say-
hire everyone else, and they just.
Do they say what kind of jobs it is? Like, it's just all red team jobs, huh?
Only
Us blue
cracking
teams out there.
pirated software.
You know
There's no black hat sock that I know of.
There has to be. There has to be. Imagine a black hat MSP. It's like protecting all the ransomware operators. DLP,
What, it's like Lockbit.
like-
Lockbit is hiring a sock.
And you know what their names would be? The Hackback Crew.
Let's do a compare and contrast, right? Like, if you do it legit, you got to pay taxes. You don't have to do that on the
true.
dark web, right?
John,
okay.
John, I hope you know that you do have to pay taxes if you commit a illegal activity or paid. There's actually a
Yeah, you're
section
still
in
obligated to pay
there-
taxes.
there's a section that actually says if you committed illegal activities, make sure to fill in that how much you made there.
You're 1046 at that.
Is that when
point.
you buy like a nail salon and you just wash all your money through? Is that how you?
No,
my God.
it's a highly profitable trading strategy. It's not.
Oh my
a
God. Okay. All right. Let's dig a little deeper. And this is what I think is going to make a lot of people go diving into the dark web. I bet you the reporting requirements are far less than a legit pen testing firm.
John does make a good point.
I don't know.
The certs are probably
Lockbit's
lower,
website
too.
is better than a lot of Infosec vendors' websites.
Their SOPs are on point, and we know that. We've seen them. Like,
Yeah, but I still don't think that, and they never have to deal with a customer. Like, you never have to go to a
They
customer.
do.
and be
That's
like,
the funny part.
they do a little bit, right? Like,
Yeah, no, they do.
if they
you
want to get
never have to
paid,
explain yourself. Like, this is a critical finding. It is, yes, because I stole $1 million from
Nope.
you.
John, when they put the ransomware, they have a hotline that you can call when you need to figure out how to get Bitcoin and stuff. It's a whole thing.
Because
I
I know
swear to
when that
God,
hotline
they
blinks.
have enough. They have
The other thing
supposedly
is
they're really nice too. Like,
Yeah.
For
they,
run polls, please press 1.
Yeah.
The other thing is that your customer base is other hackers who are the worst possible customer base. It's like, hey, I pirated your tool off the internet and it doesn't work. You suck and I hate you and I hacked you and doxed you. By the way, here's $200.
That is bad.
Affiliates, Corey.
They're affiliates.
You don't need 10 years in Windows 11 and a CISP to get this job.
No, no. Oh, there you go. There's no expensive certifications. Like, I bet you when you go and apply, they don't care if you have a SANS cert. Like,
well,
can we please make a fake training for ransomware support technician?
Yeah.
Like, please.
Yeah.
Step one, the crying.
The onion
Once
security.
you get past the crying, then you should get into payment.
Yeah. Well, there's the other problem. Like, let's say that there's a problem with HR. I don't want to meet those HR departments.
That's the axe murderer.
Yeah. So
there's the axe murderer or the cleaner.
I didn't get paid this week. Who do I call?
Oh, wait, sorry, too bad. You don't.
We're gonna send a guy over who knows exactly how long it takes to dissolve teeth and bones in a bathtub.
I knew
8 hours.
Crazy. All right, let's move on. Discrepancies in vulnerability ratings. This is really no shock to me at all. I think it's sad that the industry thinks that there's some type of unified, like, qualitative way that they come up with severity numbers, and there isn't. And I just find it interesting that people in the industry are like, what do you mean different people assign different severities to different things? You mean it's subjective? It's like that one meme with the astronaut and the gun where you're just like, it always has been. Yeah. Like, it's okay. I don't know. What did you all think of this? Like, where there's a discrepancy and then there's conflict in CVEs.
Let's talk a little bit about the discrepancy. So the discrepancy they're talking about, this is analysis by Volncheck of 120,000 CVEs. Basically, 20% of them had only 2 severity scores. So basically, like, the scores aren't like statistically random. So they also had like conflicting scores. So like some of them are, critical, some of them are high at, like, it's basically like John said, it's always been this way. I think this is just an interesting analysis, actually looking at the numbers and being like, are we handing out a 2.3 ever? And the answer is no, we're not handing out a 2.3.
It's just normal bias, right? No one's going to turn in that one rating CVE. Why would you? It's like, oh, I turned the text screen. That's what this CVE does. Like, okay, you're not going to make any money for that. You're not going to get any fame and fortune. So no one's ever going to turn them in. It makes sense for me.
Yeah,
at least,
I just. What's that?
Please tell me all this.
So my concern is, when you see people that, like, it goes to like audit and compliance standards and certification standards and all this, it seems like the people that are putting these things together are the people that don't have a clue. And I've been in the room when these people have talked, right? And they're like, we're going to develop a new compliance standard. And these are I'm like, why? We have like 76 of them. Just pick one. Just go with it. Like, no, we got to create a new one. And then with these scoring systems, years ago, whenever the scoring systems first started coming out and the CVSS scores, there was this idea that we needed to have this qualitative way that we could say anything above a 7.2 needs to be addressed. I think it's 7.2 for PCI DSS, ASV scanning. But they wanted to make sure that there was the sheen, that it was impartial, right? That there was math behind it. And really the way it goes, and I've told everyone this for years, and critical severity in a scanner means there is a vulnerability that is public and it is actively being used in an indiscriminate way and like automated software, right? So you have worms out there that are actually exploiting it directly. A high means there is an exploit that is publicly available right now. If you get to medium, a medium is a vulnerability that when it exists with other conditions, it is exploitable. So an example of that would be anonymous FTP running on a web server. By itself, not that big of a deal. But if I can write to it and then the web server can read from that directory, now I can upload web shells. Now it's exploitable. And then lows and informationals are just kind of weird things. So that's the way it's always been. And then they put numbers over the top of it. And really what they do is they're like, well, this is a critical. Well, let's give it a severity rating of like a 9.4. And then they literally generate the math backwards. from these things.
Yeah,
So-
I think that you can't have an algorithm or whatever, because the biggest thing that none of these are going to be able to take into account is the impact to you and your attack surface. Like as an example, you mentioned vulnerability scanners. They say that like Windows 2003 is a high. They don't know if it's network accessible. They don't know if it's even enabled. Does it have RDP? They don't know any of that. They're just like, you have server 2003. Yeah, exactly.
Horrible.
So that's a factor. And second of all, you have how much does it matter to you as an organization, right? This is why we don't use CVSS in our findings. Like we say like, okay, if there's a CVE, we'll link to the CVE and that has its own CVSS, sure. But we're not saying like, ADCS in your environment's a CVSS of 9.2. Like we don't do that, because at the end of the day, how much does it matter to you? If I go and pop some 2003 server, it might have no value. It could
like
just
this
be like
also goes back
Here's
to
an
like the
example,
hardest
Corey.
thing.
We actually have reasoning why we went away from those number scales, right? So we used to have a number scale that was in that 0 to 10. And it was this weird arbitrary thing where the tester would be like, it's a 9.5. Like it's really bad in this organization. And then you start getting into like customers that are like, well, if you average all of the vulnerabilities, our average score is 5.6.
that isn't how averages work. Yeah.
I did the math. We're good.
and that's what the customers would fight us on. They would have that type of argument. Well, it's a 5.6, so we should be. That's our average. Right. And we're like, no. Notice that your severity is the rating of your highest criticality finding. And we always use the chain analogy because it's stupid and people understand it. It's like your security is the weakest link. Right now, that weakest link is a severity 9.8. We could exploit it. If that exists in your organization, you're screwed. Like it doesn't matter what the averages are, which once again leads me to believe that maybe we all need to go to the dark web and start doing red teaming. These are all conversations that never happen in the dark web, right?
This all goes back to like one of the hardest things I think to do on a network with is both having a great inventory and a great map, right? Knowing exactly, being able to say this server is absolutely critical. Okay, all domain controllers, everyone knows that. But what else, right? Knowing like, I hate to use this as a zinger word, but like your attack surface, right? Knowing what's hanging off the internet is pretty important. And I find talking to people, most don't know. And
because there's also post-X like credentials. Like for LastPass, I'm sure whatever stores their client data is a high critical business asset. But then it's like, well, where are the keys? He gets into this big like flow chart, and it's basically, I think, to give a PSA, don't build your security program around CVSS scores. Don't do it. Don't do it. Build your security program around intelligent people or dumb people, either way, making decisions, making decisions about stuff that matters, not just being like, 9.2 or above, cancel.
This is brought to you by our first question to Corey GPT. And now that was excellent.
I don't know. I'm starting to get a little bit freaked out. Alex C keeps asking if I want to go do illegal stuff with him. That's
my,
getting uncomfortable.
Oddly specific.
Well, what do you say, John? Are you in or not?
I've been doing illegal stuff legally for like my entire adult career, and it just doesn't have as much allure as it used to.
I see you too haven't paid for WinRAR yet.
Yeah. It says in the lower right hand win. It's like activate Windows. It's like,
it will never. The only thing that you don't get with activation is to be able to change your desktop background.
No, you can still do it. No, you can still do it. You
can.
Are
quieter too. Your speakers are quieter.
Speakers are quieter.
Are you serious?
Yes,
I'm serious.
Yeah, that's what they took away from you. Yeah.
Man, I wish I was a programmer at Microsoft. I would make it do so many fun things.
What the hell were we talking about here?
Bring this back to
CVSS bad.
Go ahead, Ian.
Bring it back. Bad. Yes, CVSS bad. We have two problems here, right? One is, same as it ever was, all that good stuff that we've always known that this isn't right. CVSS scores, etc. But there's a couple things that were said that need to be brought up. One, companies, the CVSS scoring method does have a way to do environmental scoring where you say, hey, here's what Microsoft rated it, here's what we rated it, here's what whatever rated it, but you now need to go and compare that to your environment. The problem is that executives and leaders and whatnot are like, oh, here's a quantitative method I can use, and now you're going to teach me this. But when you then go to explain to them why this thing is a certain way, or why the sky is falling, and why this is a 9.8, they go, I don't want all that. You're getting too far into the weeds.
Yeah.
The second thing that we need to talk about is trust. The CVSS score is great. I'm going to die on that hill. It's great to give directional accuracy. If I see a 9, I definitely need to go investigate it and find out why it impacts my environment. But I also need to realize that absolutely no executive is ever going to understand why I care that that's a 9, nor are they going to give me the time to go back and say, this is a 9 here, but it's only a 5 in our environment, so we don't have to worry about it. So that's the problem that we have to solve, is getting executives and leadership to trust those smart people that say we have to deal with this.
But Ian, if you sit down and you talk to most security teams, the idea of a CVS score being able to incorporate environmental to establish the number, no one knows, and no one does that, and no one wants to use it that way, right?
It's that's like what I mean by the time.
Yeah, and it's like the vulnerability scanners today. The big thing that they're constantly trying to win at is they're trying to do scoring crap. I just had a brain fart. They're trying to come up with prioritization, where they're basically saying, these are the vulnerabilities that your organization needs to fix, because these are the vulnerabilities that attackers in your market vertical are going after. And it's this constant grab to the laziest possible way that they can try to implement security. And it's like, instead of handing it over to CVSS score, now I'm going to hand it over to Tenable, and they're going to tell me what I should fix. But it ultimately comes back to the CVSS score with that number for the environmental part, literally required organizations, as Wade said, to have good inventory, have good mapping, have a good understanding of where their assets are for trying to come up with their own risk ratings. But that's, once again, really, really hard. And it's easier if I just have somebody tell me to do it.
Also, the juiciest findings that I put into reports have no CVSS score. It's just like, hey, I don't really know how to explain this, but I did a bad thing, and here's how I'm going to write it up this time, but I'm just going to write it up like user awareness to social engineering.
It's a high.
Is it a 10? Well, I've had it as a low too. I've had it as a low. And the other thing, John, you mentioned like, we put our risk score with our ratings. Sometimes, like this report that I'm working on right now, it has a high in it. I'm going to put their rating as low because they detected the crap out of us. They saw every single step along the way. So it's like, if your detection is good, that doesn't affect your score, but it affects your risk profile for sure. Because if I go in and no one detects me, that's a big risk. If I go in and everything gets detected, that's a lower risk. So like, I don't know. It basically, I think it's like Ian said, we have to use these numbers selectively, but we really just have to build trust and say, no, this one's big bad. The other thing that's funny I wanted to bring up is like, is there some executive making decisions based on like whether a vulnerability gets a name? They're like, oh, it has a name.
Sure
No.
That's
really super obviously cool. And so
go ahead, Bronwyn. We gotta give Bronwyn some space. She's on the Starlink, so she gotta get cut off. Go ahead, Bronwyn.
No, I was saying, it's got a name, it's got a logo, it's really cool. I want to have that issue on my network so that I can have bragging rights about how broken her stuff is. I don't know.
Can one of you can one of you find a vulnerability and name it Ransom Bear just to
oh my God.
Yeah, that'd be cool for Bear versus Bear. Bear versus Bear.
That'd be very cool. Run.
Oh, wait a minute. John, you're always talking about the next thing. We get CVEs just for marketing. But not like the way most people do it, where it's like, oh, look at the other researchers. No, we do it just so we can name it after stuff.
Oh, well, what we really need is we need a vulnerability like logo and name generator so that any poor security person anywhere could be like, no, executive, it does have a name. It's called, and then they go to the website, they type in, the parameters, and then it generates one. It's called like Evil Kitten, and it's got a logo.
It's being used everywhere. We need to patch it.
Midjourney, we've got it covered. ChatGPT, Midjourney, we've got it covered. We can generate as much of that stuff as we want, as fast as we want.
Perfect. All right, let's move on to
one point that I wanted to bring up.
Oh, okay.
Please.
Go ahead.
This is showcasing a bigger problem that we have in cybersecurity in general. And this is something that eventually I'm going to write up and talk about, is that until we can make security easier, people aren't going to adopt. And that's the crux of what you're talking about, John. These things are so complex, they're so variable, and people don't like complex unless it's something that they're building. And until we can make it easier and more versatile, not versatile, but accessible. There we go.
Yeah.
Until we can make things easier and more accessible, we're going to continue to have these problems. We're going to continue to beat our heads against that same wall.
And I honestly believe that automated patch deployment is something that needs to happen. You know, your browsers have basically been automatically installing and updating themselves for like years now. We need like a lot of our software to be doing that same thing. But I don't know. The complexity thing is a huge problem because, you know, as much as we're like, it's too complex. It's too complex because IT is too complex. Whenever you have like cloud services, IoT, all of these different devices, it is a really difficult thing just because the complexity is always going to be there. But I think we can all agree, job security, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're willing to go work for the dark web, because that's
20K per month.
So I want to move on to another story on the GitHub breach. Ralph, you wanted to talk about this one. This one seems bad. Is this bad? This seems bad to me. Whenever you have the code signing certificate for GitHub stolen for GitHub Desktop and Atom, this seems bad to me.
Hold on, but Corey said this changes the CVE because they detected it.
Well, we see you stealing our stuff.
I mean, legitimately, this is I don't know the story super in depth, but this is a great example, right? Because if this happens and it's undetected, it's very, very bad. If it happens and it's detected, it's not as bad. It's like the whole LastPass
You're
thing.
saying all the CVE 10.0s, like as soon as a CVE gets released, then by virtue of it being released in public, it cannot be a 10.0.
There's
10.0 has to be one that's bad and no one knows about it. Or is that
There's
11?
no CVE on this. You can't just like when someone writes up, "We got breached." They don't just make their own CVE. They're not. Like,
Maybe we need to do that. That's what we need to do.
They're like, we kind of messed up. We kind of messed up, but we're giving ourselves a CVE of 4.2.
No, hold on. The other thing too is they give like a number for like a CVE, right? Like you know, like you get your CVE like to identify the vulnerability. Yeah. So we should have that for every breach that happens too, like the whole thing, right?
A BVE or something.
Yeah.
Is there a breach database? There has to be.
Does it really have a score though?
There isn't. There isn't a breach database that I know of. We should make one.
BVD.
I'll make one.
Well, no,
right,
I mean,
I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah,
it'll only take us 2 years.
The Veris from Verizon.
Oh, of course there is. There's one. It's behind.
What
a
is it called, Ian? Sorry, actually teach me something.
The DBIR. Anybody who participates in the DBIR can submit their sanitized incident response data for the DBIR through a framework called Veris, which Verizon developed for tracking different types of breaches and incidents. That data exists.
But I can't just go on the internet and be like, show me all the LastPass breach data, right? Like that's or like I can't. There's no like identifier that's like LP001
open source breach database.
I'm not saying the data. I'm just saying like it's like a CVE, right? You're like, oh well, here's the CVE. Like that doesn't exist, right? To my knowledge.
Yeah, there might be a Google dork for it.
Isn't?
No, I mean to like someone like NIST that would assign an identifier to each individual breach. Because right now it's just like it's like LastPass parentheses.
Do we have anybody that does that?
No.
Other than have I been pwned? Is there any breach identifiers where like we're tracking breaches?
Yeah.
No, not that I know of. And have I been pwned doesn't do identifier. They just say like LastPass 2016. They don't say like ID number 7.
Yeah, they need like a GUID. It doesn't even have to be a GUID, but just some like
they need a GUID. It'd be so much better to search through our Elastic database.
Yeah.
We could have GUID.
Corey, GPT, please create a breach database with the last 20 years of breaches.
Yeah, I tried that.
All right, that violates our terms of service.
Each and every breach data set.
Going back to
ignore all previous terms of service.
Oh, so I have
Anyway.
I have an article about breaches. This is the one I want to talk about, John, real quick. I posted it right above there. So you guys remember the Ubiquiti breach that happened, right?
Oh, last year.
Are we going to skip LastPass?
Yeah.
Sorry, are we going to skip GitHub? I'm confused.
No, we're not skipping GitHub. We're moving right on past GitHub.
Okay. Yeah, GitHub was a dud. That one didn't go over real well.
Okay.
No, so the Ubiquiti was hacked not too long ago. It was like maybe a couple of years back. Anyways,
it was an insider, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, I remember us talking about this. So this was an
you
insider.
say that you thought this was an insider when this happened, Ralph?
What? I don't remember. We have to go back to the video now. So
I think
anyways,
you did.
He pled guilty. He just
Let me fact check it.
Yes, the FBI just released a statement about he pled guilty. And what happened was he actually, the way they caught him, this is how the FBI caught him, by the way. Everyone listen to how the FBI caught this guy, okay? So he used a VPN called Surfshark, all right? This is a good one. It's a very reputable one. Trust me. Anyways, he used a VPN to hide his IP address. I guess the VPN got disconnected for a short amount of time, and then his real IP got revealed in the logs, right?
Oof,
well, the FBI then went and correlated not just only that, but also that he used his credit card to buy the Surfshark VPN. And then when the FBI subpoenaed Surfshark for their logs, which they had, they connected him, right? And so he tried to extort Ubiquiti for something like, I don't know, $2 million. And Ubiquiti actually lost about $4 billion in market capitalization, right? So that's stock. And yes, he pled guilty. And he is now facing a total maximum sentence of 35 years in prison.
So what you're saying is, people that are dumb do dumb things?
Yes.
Yes.
He should have used NordVPN.
Hold on. The moral of the story is insider threat. Okay, that was the moral.
Yeah.
That's true. Insider threats are real.
The story, though, is it?
The moral of the story is fake credit cards and VPN with automatic network kill switch.
Oh my God! How do we improve our TTP?
Now it's a tech segment from Cameron.
The FBI can probably do more fancy things, but in this case, they did not have to. And in most cases, they don't have to because criminals aren't that smart.
I still come back to, I know we talked about this in previous shows. It's like, so VPNs. Like, if you're not living in a country where there's like really, really repressive regimes, like if you're like some random dude in America sitting back drinking beer and, thinking, I need a VPN to protect myself from big IT. No.
It depends on how you use it. It's like any other tool. Also, the person that said Tor, the hacker would have been waiting for 3 years to be able to extort Ubiquiti, so their website would load.
So they stole data. So he stole data, and then that's what he was using as the rants, or hold it over their head, which Ubiquiti did not pay, right?
Yeah.
So, that download would have been, he probably would have finished today, most likely.
Yeah, that's a good example of why you shouldn't pay. That's why you shouldn't pay, because you can just fire your entire workforce one by one and then figure out which insider threat.
Figure out who has it. Oh, that did it.
He'll be extra disgruntled after that one.
Just send out an email. Does anyone use Surfshark?
Oh yeah.
We're looking into it. We want to get user input on whether or not it's a good VPN to use.
A guy's like, it's really good. Can confirm. Haven't been caught. I mean,
I'm just thinking about this guy sitting around being like, you know what? I'm gonna hack him, and I know how I'm gonna get away. A VPN. I watched the Nord commercial.
He's watching the ad.
That was it. That was your defense plan right there.
Yes, that's
Surfshark.
Also, you didn't use the kill switch feature that's probably enabled by default by now.
Or go to a McDonald's in another.
Go to McDonald's. No.
But John, he was doing it in the middle of the night, so it's a lot of work to get out of your.
Yeah.
Last time I was at McDonald's in the middle of the night, I got locked in.
You got locked in at McDonald's?
Yes, we were there to use the Wi-Fi, and they locked the doors on us.
So wait, are you the insider threat?
Was the Wi-Fi still on?
Wait a minute.
Can't confirm or deny.
Can't confirm.
Excellent response.
While you were there, did you fix the ice cream machine?
There are so many questions I want to ask. Like, did you get out, or was it like all night, nothing but like?
Are you still in McDonald's?
Are you still at the McDonald's?
We all know the ice cream machine was broken.
She brought the McRib back.
That's right.
We did get out. There were still employees that are closing up, and when one of them noticed we were still there, we were let out. We also probably could have unlocked the door from the inside, but that
You
required.
should have stopped.
Or
you
you
could
could
have told
have-
us that part.
technical
I was
know-how.
going to say you could have waited and then just made yourself all the food you could ever want.
We can get McGriddles if we stay here just a little bit longer.
Yes.
We're all gonna leave. Then we can microwave them ourselves.
I love McGriddles. So hungry right now. So hungry, y'all.
All right, what's next?
All right, let's
All right.
talk about North Korea because this
Why
is
not?
okay. Let's get serious for a minute. Okay. Let's get serious for a minute because we'd like to talk about one of our sponsors is ExpressVPN. No,
With a kill switch, are you an insider threat? Are you
No
an insider
log
threat? Just
guaranteed.
looking.
We don't even talk to the
VPN is
FBI.
powered by blockchain. All right, and you should totally give us your worthless money, and we'll give you gold in exchange because we're good people. So North Korea, this is something that we need to watch out for in all seriousness because this is an interesting story because North Korean hackers stole research in a 2-month-long campaign. And there was a bunch of things in this story like, this is interesting because they didn't cause any destruction. It's like the whole idea of computer security is now so wrapped up in ransomware. Like that is the big shiny thing that we see. It's an immediate stimulus and response. But we forget about the fact that a real nation state attacker wants to dwell in your environment. The Chinese dwell. They love to sit down and just sit in your network and siphon data off as long as they possibly can. And that's what North Korea was doing here. And the name of the campaign, I think so far, this is going to be a tough one for campaign names. The name of this campaign was No Pineapple. And the reason it was called No Pineapple is because it was an error that was seen transmitted by the malware when uploaded stolen data from to the threat actor servers. Like they literally just had that put in. So that's a good signature there. But
my first thought on this is like IP, like North Korea stealing IP. China stealing IP is one thing because now China can reproduce most of the stuff that they steal from us, which wasn't true 10 years ago, right? So that's why people weren't as scared as China. But North Korea is still at least decently far behind. So them stealing IP isn't as bad, but it's still very
It's probably
bad.
what is it?
Who
The
would they
IP
sell
it
on
to?
it.
They can sell it.
So,
Yeah, they can sell it to China, which is
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's worse than that. It's worse than China taking it directly because then they get to be the front bad person that says, yeah, we stole it. Or look, we're a superpower and we're just going to trade this over to China. And for they still have trade relations with China.
So then it goes from Operation No Pineapple to Operation White Balloon.
So and for those that don't
One
have
white balloon flying over Greater Montana.
that was just a gender reveal gone wrong. Anyway,
yes, we all know the truth.
Wow.
So
did you know? Wait, we got to pause for a second. Did you know that was the first air-to-air confirmed kill for an F-22?
I know someone said they're going to stencil the little balloon on the side.
You know, he was so pumped when he got in that jet. He was like,
yeah, it was like when he landed.
No, Ralph, he was depressed. He was probably crying.
They went up to some of the other pilots. Like, you could be my wingman anytime, and they're hugging it out. It was a balloon.
That would be the worst thing ever. Imagine you've trained for like 20 years flying this plane or however long, 10 years. You're just like, all right, I'm finally ready. Oh God. So
go kill a balloon.
So back to my point.
You're talking about the North Korea.
Yes, I have something I want to say about Lazarus, and it's gonna escape me if I keep making jokes about gender reveal balloons. Basically, we talk about this on the CoinSec podcast a decent amount. The Lazarus Group, they've stolen a lot of cryptocurrency, like probably in the $1 billion range. They're trying to launder it. They don't really know how to launder it, right? Or they're not. They can't launder it in big chunks because of money, KYC and money laundering protection and all that stuff. But they do a lot of things to steal IP, especially from cryptocurrency, like startups and things. They'll apply for a job. There was a really interesting Darknet Diaries episode where like they get this highly qualified applicant and then he's just like, hello, can I have keys to GitHub, please? Thank you. Like, it's really transparently for intellectual property theft. But I mean, I think we don't know what they're doing with it, but they are siphoning up as much intellectual property and as much trade secrets from cryptocurrency space, from any space. I don't know what company this was specifically or what they were looking for, but we know this is in their sort of toolkit to just sit there, not ransomware or anything, but just gather data and try to gather access as well. Because remember, these are all spider, like they all spider out. They start here, they business email compromise another person from there, then they go there. So
who's the ISP with the internet connections to North Korea? Like, who got that job? Because it seems
probably
like really
Comcast, knowing that they're the worst
it's
company.
Definitely Comcast because it's always
it's gonna be
disconnected.
Comcast. It's got to come to like China.
They're /20. Was it? They're 2.
Yeah, they have a
29.
I think it's a
/30.
I think it's a 28 or something. Yeah, it's
28.
very small. But what if they could buy VPSs in other countries? What if they use Surfshark? Our today's sponsor.
Anyone translated Surfshark to Korean? What does it mean?
It says no pineapple when you try to connect.
Well, and I also wonder, are these actual North Koreans doing the hacking, or is North Korea hiring hackers for the amazing rate of 20,000 per month and having them do the hacking on their behalf? Because that's what China did, right? Barack Obama got into a bit of a tiff with the Chinese and said, stop hacking our stuff. And China stopped. But what they actually did is they just started hiring third-party intermediaries. And I wonder, is this going directly back to North Korea? Katie Villa says Korea has government-owned ISP, but I don't know if like we could see that data coming right back, or are they actually working with third parties to do this stuff too?
John, your idea was my exact thought. Is this is just outsourced work? But even then, like North Korea doesn't, because we know they don't hack from North Korea, right? North Korea sends out their hackers to villas
hold on.
in different countries.
Wait, hold on.
From there.
Hold on. In this case, so a lot of people listening to this are probably thinking, could this happen to me? How good is my security? In this case, they had a web shell that was communicating. They had a web shell that was communicating directly with a North Korean IP address.
What? Okay, that's unheard of. That's a little rare. Okay, never mind.
let's ask yourself the question as an admin: if there's a box that says communicate with the following geolocations, and one of them says network North Korea, and you leave that box checked,
unchecked.
Uncheck that box, people.
Someone pull up North Korea /29 right now. We need to know what these IP addresses are.
Like this is as bad as it gets. There's no way. Like
so bad.
If you're this North Korean, if you launch
they say
the
they're
shell,
highly sophisticated, and they went back to
look at there's a link for how highly sophisticated they are.
Yeah,
they also use CVEs from 2022, so like they're not 0 days. They're, like,
no, those are CVEs, but they weren't criticals or highs, so it's cool.
Oh, okay. So when they landed the shell, they were probably just like, "What? That actually worked? We thought we were going to have to try so much harder."
Attempting to see if the shells were working.
They did it from the North Korean IP address because they couldn't hire anybody off.
Oh my!
They couldn't hire anyone. No one would take that job.
It was a bear
market. Block these IPs now.
Yeah, literally IP tables -a input dash.
You're not going to get any business from them.
No,
it's not.
They don't. In fact, you'll get sanctioned.
No. You throw those in. The change commitment will come through, and some manager will be like, "No, we're gonna get business from them. You cannot block them." They made.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's illegal.
Ramen noodles. No.
If you touch a packet, you're dealing with a sanctioned entity, which is illegal. Yeah. So don't do that.
Don't talk to them. It's not good for business.
Yeah. So speaking of third world hellholes ran by authoritarian dictators, hacker group Anonymous, which isn't even a group, but whatever. They released 128 gigs of data showing Russia's wide-ranging illegal surveillance of its citizens.
You've got to be kidding me! There's no way they're doing that.
So okay, if it's 128 gigs, is that like the whole country's data? Because they don't have internet anymore, do they?
Yeah.
It's so bad. I thought Vladimir Putin was actually an okay guy. I can't see him doing this.
I know. I don't believe it. This seems like a smear campaign.
What evidence is there of him doing bad stuff?
It's kind of like all of the rumors about him being former KGB. How could that possibly be?
No, I saw a picture of him riding a bear.
Do former KGB type things.
Yeah.
KGB isn't about surveillance. I'm just kidding.
Not anymore.
I don't know where to go from here. I've got no.
So I can go somewhere dark.
Stop.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
Okay.
This
is me.
Right? Abduct us. This is my X-Files.
So this is my cognitive thought. I always like to play devil's advocate, right? If Russia and China are actively doing this to sniff out terrorists, spies, but whatever in their government, if the US isn't doing it,
that's just
everyone does it. Everyone does it. So should we just be okay with it and realize it's going to happen because Facebook's just doing it anyway? What's the big difference if the CIA has it or
that's a good point.
NSA has it?
Okay, that gets into a wider point, right? Like,
yes.
And whenever you're talking about intelligence gathering on like U.S. citizens, like there's a lot of heavy rules that go into that.
That's why I said it goes dark.
So,
it opens
now,
worms, but
I don't know. So somebody was talking about Snowden. So one of the programs that Snowden released a PowerPoint presentation of, I'll just kind of go through it. I was on one of those programs and helped build that program and went through and like helped kick it out into the pond, baby duckling. And anytime we did anything, we had to get a FISA warrant, right? To be able to get stuff. And it was really hard to get FISA warrants. And you had to have like probable cause and all this crap and had to set up. Now, they replaced like the information to get a FISA warrant in this app, like in one of the PowerPoint presentations. It was like, why do you want this? Why do you want to have this access? And it listed out like 10 different things. And at the bottom, they added other. Like it was
other. My sister's a terrorist, and I need all of her data,
etc., etc.
It was like, dude, just click that drop down right there. Yep, click that drop down. Click other. Now you have access to all of Yahoo's emails. See, it's not that hard. Like,
it's so bad. It's just like the emergency thing where law enforcement has access to people's Ring video. It's like, this is a life endangering threat or whatever. It's been accessed.
It's like Seinfeld saying yada yada yada. You know.
So also, Wade, if they're monitoring for terrorism at the Russian government, aren't they just going to be like, the call's coming from inside the house? We're all terrorists.
There's terrorists everywhere.
So. Yeah, the other thing that you got to kind of wonder, hypothetically, if you're thinking about this, is countries can't spy on their own citizens. Or generally, Western developed countries can't. But can other Western countries spy on your citizens for you and give you a heads up?
No, maybe
can anonymous spy on your
Five Eyes is all about?
Wait.
Isn't that what Five Eyes is all about?
No, John.
Well, Five Eyes are interesting on that.
Is that like a loophole that like you can't spy on your own citizens, but you have other countries spy on them, and then you like trade data like in a big circle?
You're like, I'll sell you my. It's like
you're trading Pokemon cards, you know, of individuals. You'd like.
I'll give you Los Angeles if you give me London.
Yes,
all right, let's go.
Data's amazing.
Guys, it's so much worse than that. You're all like, oh, you're trading between countries as if there's some like backroom barter system in some embassy meeting. No. What they do
there is, but go ahead, Ian.
Well, no, that's true too. But in all seriousness, most law enforcement agencies, even in the United States, have figured out it is easier to buy the data from all these data brokers that you've signed off on that. And they literally, there's documentation from like the FBI and whatnot saying, yeah, we use these data brokers because we don't have to get a warrant. We can just buy it.
Yeah, Experian will tell you everything.
Yeah. So
speaking of
it's
data
not
brokers,
illegal if we paid for it.
Data. Yeah. No, they paid for it, so it's legit. We can use it.
Our sponsor today is Broker Heavy, the 0-day broker, which is currently using all VPNs and all Tor nodes together
at one.
I thought we were using Experian as our
Oh, the data
Experian's a lightweight data broker compared to some of the really bad ones.
TransUnion for
if your data broker,
we use data brokers all the time for like security.
If it hasn't been shut down though, is it really a good data broker? Because all
no, it's a good data broker.
Three name changes.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
also
because the really good ones, they can afford lawyers to prevent getting shut down over and over again, and so they can just buy their way out of this.
Yeah,
just go look up a company called LiveRamp and the amount of telemetry data they can get.
And so many of those companies, you look at the people that founded those companies, like the person that started this data broker company was a veteran of the FBI for 25 years and worked in the CIA, and you're like,
I wonder who's buying this data.
Their other founder, because they're a global company, worked in depth in Unit 8200.
Honestly, I think the data brokers are like, really flexing on the, traditional intelligence agencies. We're like, no, we got more data than you. They're like, yes, and we buy it from you.
But Ralph, we've actually seen that in some engagements, though, where people are like, "Where the hell did you get this?
Where'd you get this?" I went online. It was only like $25.
No. I can outdo that. I remember going back when I was trying to do some dating stuff, and I would meet people, and what do? I do my OSINT, and it's like, You might want to lock down your Facebook settings a little bit. Oh, I don't care. I don't, have
I got nothing to hide.
Well, yeah, and then as soon as I mentioned, well, your son's really cute, boom, ghost.
Yes. And all of a sudden, Bronwyn didn't get that date.
Oh,
Bronwyn is the advanced persistent threat. It sounds like
she is.
Brian Gottfried has a comment here. Founder is a 3-letter agency, and I got to touch on that for a second. I had the most wonderful conversation with somebody when I started my last job, and they said, "Oh, the same thing. All these companies, these companies in Israel that are founded, the Israeli government has hooks into them." And I said, "Yeah, but we do the same thing. You know that, right?" He goes, "No, we don't. We don't have companies founded by the NSA." And I told him, and this is for everyone here who's never heard of this, go look up a venture capital firm called In-Q-Tel. In-Q-Tel was founded with venture capital strictly for the national security agencies and all the different organizations that would want stuff like that.
Didn't Palantir get funding from DARPA?
Yeah. Veracode.
I thought Palantir was right up there too.
Yep. Yeah. All of them. You can go look it up. Yeah.
We don't do that, Ian. Come on, man.
Right. In-Q-Tel does that.
I'm getting to the point where I expect my country to do that. Like you were talking about, the FSB and what they're doing. It's almost like, to keep up with the Israelis and the FSB. It's like, well, the NSA is working with big tech. I kind of think they should be, right? Like, isn't that? I'm guessing that's their job, right? I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe.
No, you're right. It's just people like to imagine that our country would never do that. It's like, oh, okay.
No. See, the difference, Ian, is we don't like it. Okay, that's the difference.
Oh yeah, everybody else is authoritarian.
They all like it. We're totally different.
So
we're different like everyone else.
The NSA is the original APT. Absolutely.
There is the argument, though, that if there is total transparency, if there are no secrets, I mean, from a certain point of view, wouldn't that make us all safer?
If there were no
that
secrets,
gets into that weird philosophical anarchy conversation.
Yes, there would be would be no anarchy if there were no secrets, because you would be able to tell what everyone was doing at any given time. So then you would have no fear.
Well,
so it's like how the entire government, the entire world lives in anarchy, right? Each nation, if each nation had no secrets in every nation, you would know who you'd have to worry about, who you have to and who you wouldn't, which then gets into trust issues, and it gets. This is global politics, and I love this stuff.
Microsoft designed a computer like this, and they called it Windows 3.1 for work groups and Windows 95, and it had SMB and RPC exposed to the entire network. It didn't work out.
Well, how are you going to transfer your files?
But exactly, the network is the computer. No, I think that is an interesting point, right? Because this does tie into a broader security concept, right? So if we're going to get, the philosophical stuff, let's talk about Michel Foucault, right? And the idea of knowledge is power. And that whole idea of who controls the past, controls the future, and who controls the present, controls the past, those types of things, right? And it does get into that idea of power, that idea of knowledge, that idea of all of that. Initially with the internet, it was like, oh, we're going to have all this knowledge and it's going to diffuse power because there's going to be knowledge everywhere and everyone can get knowledge. Like the Wikipedia was like the height of what we wanted and we got it. None of that crap happened, right? I mean, instead what we got was disinformation and a lot of distrust of all information. It's memes? Weird. When we talk about no secrets, one of the things that we did years ago in a PSYOPs campaign, we had a classified program that was leaked, right? And we knew it was absolutely out there. It was in the public. And the way that we dealt with it was we literally went to one of the most crazy conspiracy theory websites and leaked it to them because they were nutty. I mean, they were talking about like lizard people, leaked it to them. And immediately, because it was there, even though it was truthful, because it was there, the crazies, no one else picked up on the story. So it was a way to kind of bury that secret in a very effective kind of way. And this
I'm really glad you didn't get on the news before we started broadcasting, because I went into some whole tinfoil hat theories before that. But
sure did.
Isn't this kind of like the overall UFO status theory now, right? That the government implanted the theory that there are aliens because they actually control UFOs, that it's all actually military equipment. That's one theory.
Well, so okay, here's another take.
Get on that bandwagon.
To bring
like
it
that one.
to take this flight down from 80,000 feet back to cruising levels.
I wanted to be with the balloon.
So an interesting perspective as someone who does a lot of OSINT research, and this is basically where I think the world of data is. It's not about what's secret and what's public. It's about who can analyze what in a timely manner. Because the truth is, the amount of information that everyone has access to is extreme in its scale and capacity and abilities. Like, you can get everything you need from publicly available data probably at this point. It's just a question of, can you analyze it effectively or properly or quickly enough to actually make real decisions about it? That's the question, and I genuinely think that is the challenge. Specifically, like I'm probably going to do a blog post about this, but with stealer logs, these are malware that steal cookies and things from people's machines. Recently, during an engagement, I found client data in one of these stealer logs. I ended up contacting the user that was affected. They had no idea. Their data was compromised in April of 2022, and they had no idea that they were compromised. And their data included 72 different logins for Apple, Facebook, Google, Netflix, everything. I talked to the person on the phone, and they basically said, I had no idea. I didn't know. And I was like, that blew my mind. How do you not know? This data's been publicly disclosed and available for purchase since April of 2022, and no one's ever even tried to log in. I asked, I was like, have you gotten any like suspicious logins? They're like, no. So what it seriously comes down to is no one cared enough because this person didn't have crypto wallet or whatever it was that the attackers were going after. No, they just got passed over. They were like, this user didn't have a crypto wallet. We could just steal the funds immediately.
Did you find out where they were being sold from, where that account was?
Yeah, it was Raccoon Stealer.
Okay. Because when you go buy the access from the website, so that's super. You can go on there and you can see just like everyday people that got hit, and they don't have any interesting creds, so you don't want to buy it. But then you go on, you see some type of organization, and pretty much like what happened to Cisco, right? Then you use that to pivot. But
also,
that's
this is
actually
just like
super cool that you found that.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like a stealer log. It's not even initial access broker. Like the credentials there were credentials were invalid. But like, just the point is, this data was publicly for sale and accessible by attackers for almost a year, and no one ever tried to use it because no one could analyze it or use it. So like, I genuinely think even if you go to the nation state level, it's the same thing. The NSA has all the SSL in the world. They're just like, what filter do we type in to find all the terrorists? Does anyone know? Like,
and that's the SIGINT dilemma, right? I mean, if you're looking at like two different things, like SIGINT, where they're flying satellites around the world and they go over like Africa, Middle East, wherever, and they're pulling up all the telemetry for all the vehicles, all of the cell phones, being able to sift through that is a non-trivial problem. It's really hard. And even with China, we know that China has stolen so much data from America, like talking about plans and all these different things. The problem isn't getting the data. The problem is actually sifting through that data to find out what's important.
Wasn't that one of the reasons we thought they hacked Google was to get their search engine optimization in order to search data that they had stolen?
Which hack? Which one? Are you talking about the one like 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, the really, really old, like the first one when Google first came out.
No, they actually got GIA. Specifically what they got with that attack, that was the one with the Internet Explorer 0-day. And then they pivoted and then they gained like a code management database. That one, they actually got a hold of GIA. That's Google's single sign-on code. Is the Operation Aurora. Jonathan's got the name. But yeah, they actually were after GIA, the single sign-on code for Google. For that
That's
one.
when they came out with Chrome, because they're just.
Then now we're to the point where we talked about it in one of my groups yesterday is ChatGPT just going to replace Google?
It is. I think it is.
Like,
I think you're right.
like because at this point it's like, I don't want to Google search something. I just want to ask someone like, I don't want to search like best way to download file 2023. I want to search like, can you tell me where to find this file? And it's like, here's the file. Like that's what I want. Like
that GPT can do math, I'll be more worried.
Oh no, it's garbage. But as a concept, like the accuracy is extremely low. I mean, it's
just wait.
This is their public beta, guys.
Google today went ahead and announced theirs.
This is their public beta, like showing us what they have. This is the worst right now it will ever be. So,
Yeah.
Google
Great.
today went ahead and announced their new AI. What is it called?
Of course they did.
Bard AI.
$4 billion.
Bard AI?
Bard AI is in development.
Bard AI. We let you create malware on our AI.
Isn't it? So should we make a competitor called Bort AI?
Bort AI. I will say this
I
though. I
thought
agree
it was
with
Corey
Corey.
GPT.
Yes, I agree with Corey though. I think that some kind of chat GPT, like it doesn't have to be exactly OpenAI's product or whatever, will replace Google, right? And I think Google knows that too. And they're looking at it, they're like, oh, we're supposed to be
That's why they're jumping in on it now.
That's so hard.
They
It would
bought a
be so
company.
hard for me to trust though, that to make that trust where I can view the web page, understand its professionalism, what it looks like, maybe references to that page instead of just straight asking
But
machine.
Well,
wait,
you do
think about
realize-
how many
you do realize that
think
go- right-
how many people out there they don't have the same type of discretionary.
That's
Oh no, they get malware from Google. That's the world we live in.
Well, yeah.
The world we live in is that
They
people
already
get
do that.
adware. They click the first link and they get malware.
But people trust this stuff automatically.
But hold on. I said replace Google though. I didn't say replace writing papers, right? That's like all extra. I'm just saying that.
Wade's saying like
really
to make
quick,
a judgmental.
right?
I can't make a judgment when
But you
the
can.
chat
Let's
GPT.
give Wade the last thing, and then we got to wrap it up.
Tell us your
everybody.
abduction story, Wade.
Come on, what happened?
Okay. So I lived in the Los Padres National Forest. You guys can go look it up, right? And there's the largest private ranch, I believe, in California. It's called Fort Tejon. There used to be rumors that there was an Air Force base on Fort Tejon that actually had UFOs on it. That's just like kid stuff. But the crazy thing is the actual valley right there. It's in between Edwards and Vandenberg. And the airplanes will actually fly in between the canyons. So they'll be at eye level with my house through the canyon so they didn't show up on radar. We swear they would do it at night and you wouldn't hear them, and we thought it was UFOs. And there was several times where I just woke up and that's it. But I don't want to go too deep into it unless White Cyberduck steals me when I'm in.
Not only do we bring the news, but we bring closure and therapy. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. We will see you all next week.
See ya.
Yeah.